Hello and welcome to Goa 365's Face to Face. Now this COVID pandemic has brought agriculture, fruits, vegetables into sharp focus. With the borders closed and movement almost nil, we had to rely on our own agriculture produce, which we found very difficult. So this has brought into sharp focus the amount of vegetables and fruits and all which we bring from outside. So to talk about this and what we need to do and what we can do and what we've already been doing is a person who's been in the agriculture and agriculture department. He's been the MD of the Goa Horticulture Department, and he has retired as the officiating director, de facto director of the Agriculture Department. Welcome to our show, Nelson Figueiredo.
Yeah, thank you, and it's my pleasure to be on Goa 365 channel, Glenn.
It's our pleasure to host you also. Now, Nelson, tell me, now you've been horticulture, that is an SPV, so as to say, of the agriculture. Plus, you've been in the actual department itself. So tell us, while you were there, what exactly, like, what is the status of agriculture in the state? What exactly you all used to do? Give us a general overview of the agriculture situation and the growing of fruits, vegetables in the state. Nelson.
See, Glenn, during my time in the agriculture, I joined the department in 1981 and was in Diu, that time erstwhile Goa, Daman and Diu. So, and came back to Goa in 1984. What I have observed is that from that time to this, the increasing dependency of farmers on subsidy to take up agriculture. This has largely been due to the fact that labor has been a very big problem. It is not available as required, and also the cost of labor was going on very high. So over the years, utilizing central government schemes like the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, besides state level schemes of course, the focus was on agriculture mechanization. And that to a large extent has succeeded. In fact, it may surprise you that during the past 15 years itself, the Directorate of Agriculture has assisted farmers, means provided subsidy to purchase more than 3,000 power tillers, around 8,000 or so wheat cutters or brush cutters as you call them, around 1,500 mini weeders, mini tillers, then various other machines, tractors, more than 150 big tractors, large tractors, around 250 smaller tractors, and other assorted implements also like rotavators, disc plows, then attachments, various types of attachments to machinery. So lot of work has been done. Plus mechanized paddy transplanters also are recently the addition in this regard.
Now, Nelson, what I would like to know is that, see, all this mechanization is but land holdings in Goa are relatively small. So will these type of, this mechanized sort of agriculture, will it actually, will it be of much use to farmers who have small land holdings? Or how do you all go about this thing?
Yes, the lands in Goa are very fragmented. See, around 80% of our holdings are below 1 hectare in size. In fact, say more than 60% are half a hectare. Half a hectare means about 5,000 square meters in size. So that is a big problem. But it was in the year 2017-18 that we came out with the community farming scheme. See, here it is that the farmers could have opt for two types of farming. One is the Pakka community farming, means the whole block of land which is there could be cultivated as one, and there have been a number of groups which have taken up community farming. Many of them are successful. It was a new way of working, so there were teething problems, of course.
Now, what are the crops that are grown in Goa? What are the vegetables? What are the fruits that naturally grow in Goa? First, we'll get, then we'll move on to. What are the?
Say, I'll start with field crops. Paddy is the main field crop of Goa. Due to our heavy monsoons, and that is the only crop which can be grown in lowlands and level lands, Khazan and Khed lands.
Why is that?
Because there is standing water in the fields.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or it is too saturated. The fields the soil is very saturated, so other crops may rot.
Okay.
Then in the uplands, of course, you can grow pulses, you can grow groundnut, and ragi used to be grown at one time, nasne.
Okay.
However, that cultivation has gone down, and there is need to revive it.
Okay.
Because it is a health crop.
Correct.
Now this is regarding the field crops.
Okay.
During the Rabi season, again, various types of field crop, where paddy now, especially what was noticed, where formerly farmers used to take 2 crops a season, there was an increasing tendency to keep the Kharif season, the land fallow during Kharif season because of various problems like flooding and spoilage of drainages, etc. And this was very common in the mining belt, like Bicholi, etc. But actually, if you go to see, most types of vegetables can be grown in Goa during particular seasons, if not throughout the year.
Okay.
Now, in the rainy season, because of the heavy rains, we have, it is an established practice, ladyfingers, bene.
Okay.
Then there is various types of cucurbits. On the hill slopes, people cultivate chilies. So in Kepe area, Kankona, this doesn't come under vegetable, but still, tur, because it can be used also.
Okay.
So there are pockets, there are areas where you can cultivate some vegetables during the rains, but the choice is a little limited. I know of a farmer in Korgaon who used to cultivate radish, mulo, throughout the year.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Rabi season is the peak vegetable season of the state.
Because it's relatively drier.
It's a relatively drier. Wherever there is irrigation facility, you can cultivate a number of crops. So you can that time cultivate the cooler season crops like your nolkol, godde, nab, radish, palak. Then you can also cultivate successfully cabbage, cauliflower, carrot,
Tomatoes.
and tomatoes. Besides the other vegetables which people like tidki mitki, gawar, cluster bean, brinjal, chili. So most of the vegetables can be cultivated in the state at one time or the other. The challenge now is to cultivate at least some of the vegetables throughout the year. We have made a start with ladyfingers and to a limited extent with chilies. I didn't mention the leafy vegetables. Tamri bhaji,
which is famous.
Yes.
Yes, Taligaon and those areas. Now, but
Tamri bhaji, valchi bhaji, shepuchi bhaji, etc.
Yeah, but see, now I don't know. Now I'm confused.
Yeah.
Now suppose if, according to you, and obviously you should know because you are I mean, like you're an expert in this. If we can cultivate all these things, why is it that we need to? What are the problems? What are the reasons? Why is it that we need to rely on our neighbors for this?
See, I'll tell you a little bit of insider's what do you call perspective. Whereas since I was in the Goa State Horticulture Corporation for about a year and a half in 2 different capacities. See, out of the about 150 to 200 tons of vegetables that fluctuated month to month based on the demand, around 55 to 60% comprised only potatoes, onions, which was the major, then potatoes and tomatoes. So potatoes have been cultivated here very rarely. Potatoes are not suitable. They require a certain type of climatic condition, which is not, Goa is not, this humid condition is not very ideal. They get disease, But tomato has been doing very well. The Agriculture Technology Management Agency from the last 2 years has been promoting tomato cultivation in a large way. And there have been people who have got very good yields in tomato. So at least for around, say, we start early, say by November, December, January, February, March, or till April, by which time disease problem increases due to the heat. So 4 to 5 months, we can grow tomatoes. I know of a friend of mine who had got 11 kilos from a single tomato plant. Of course, that was a little exceptional. But on an average, he was getting 2-3 kilos from his plot per plant.
So that is good, no?
Yes.
Then why exactly? Why is it that we are not being sort of almost self-sufficient in at least tomatoes, and we have, see, majority, I don't know, from what I'm a layman, but majority of the tomatoes are coming from Belgaum and
Yes.
the other. Why? Any specific reason? People don't want to go in for these type of agriculture? Any particular reason?
See, during rainy season, this type of crops are little tricky to grow.
Correct.
Because of the humidity and
So
resulting
that's 4
disease.
months, right?
Yeah, 4 or 5 months.
5 months. Now I want to know why people hesitate to get into agriculture. Why?
See, whenever you go into a business, you have to study the market
Correct.
and see how are the economics. Now, most people, for example, they have a tendency to grow the crop they have been growing through the past.
Okay.
So we have a system like there is a glut in Chile, where demand supply far outstrips the demand.
Okay.
Same thing happened to ladyfingers last season. But if you go for the right type of crop at the right time, and if you can manage it properly, you can make money. We only have to guide people how to do it. See, everybody cannot grow one crop. Marketing is the big problem.
Biggest problem,
Yeah.
I guess.
So you cannot produce something and then go and spend half a day trying to sell it. So if you go in a slightly larger scale, there has to be an agency to support you, and that the Goa State Horticulture Corporation Limited is doing to some extent, and they can, with some more support and streamlining, I'm sure that they will be able to do much better. See, I have been told by their officers that they are now contemplating not just restricting themselves to 13 types of vegetables which they were mandated to procure
Earlier,
from
yes,
farmers,
yes.
but they want to expand to almost all the things that farmers grow, including jackfruit, breadfruit, and even this akur. Akur is a type of it is a, what do you call it, fern, type of fern, which you see growing wild in many of these fields which used to be a little which are not well drained, these areas.
Yeah.
I see that in Moira, for example, on that Pato, while going from
correct.
overpass to Moira Bridge.
Yeah.
So this type of vegetables which is wanted but not commercialized. So they are ready to take even that. So, and various types of fruits as well. If government accepts their proposal and this becomes a reality, I'm sure that it will act as a boost, because marketing is the key thing, and getting a remunerative price.
Okay.
See, you were telling the other big problem in Goa is the cost of production.
Because of labor or generally?
General, but labor also is a big part of it. See, during the year, during 2018, my colleagues in the Horticulture Corporation and Agriculture Department, they did a study to find out what is the cost of production of various types of vegetables. It was found that almost most of the vegetables like cluster bean, tidki midki, ladyfingers, then chilies, brinjal, the cost of cultivation was coming to more than 3 lakhs per hectare. The costliest being cluster bean, which has a higher labor component for plucking.
Hand picking.
Yeah, for hand picking. So the cost per unit, say per kilo, was that time of production was coming more than the cost at which these vegetables were being sold in the market. And the thing was, we took different types of farmers. There were larger farmers, smaller farmers, and what was found was that 40% of the cost was for harvesting. So there would be need of skill training, because I know, I was mentioning that friend of mine, he plucks ladyfingers with both hands. So instead of by one hand cutting with a knife and all this. So there is a scope to impart skills in cultivating, in harvesting, for example, and other aspects. For example, farmers also have come with their innovations. See, in Nashnola, one farmer, normally ladyfingers, I'll give you that example, is cultivated at a spacing of 60 centimeters by 45 centimeters or 45 by 30 in the Rabi season. He started cultivating ladyfingers at 1 meter spacing. In the second year, first year it cultivated as per the traditional way. So I asked him, he is Vittal Naik from Nashnola. Vittal, he's saying, see sir, I spent some 15,000 rupees for weeding.
In between.
So he used 1 meter spacing with 30 to 40 centimeters between plants in a row, and he took the wheels of his power tiller and turned them this way. The width of the power tiller became 75 to 80 centimeters. He used that power tiller 15 days, after 15 days one round, and after another 15 days, that is 30 days after planting, the second round. He took control of the weeds. Because afterwards, once the plants grow up, it's not such a big thing. Plus the soil became loose and he could do that earthing up, the bordita they say, because the soil was loose. At Hasapur in Perne also farmers do that. But there I found that their spacing varied from 1 meter, 1.2 meters, 1.4 meters. So again, it's a question of training, exposure to understand these concepts and get it done.
Yeah, agreed. Now what, Nelson, what basically you're saying is that now this is at an individual level, and so, but you have to be completely involved in it. Now, for a smaller, but for a bigger farm, for a larger farm, for example, if it is like say 5 hectares, 10 hectares, then the owner may not be in a position to be so proactive, so hands-on. Then how is it that actually agriculture, because these are the people who are actually going to ensure that the place gets produced, or get 3-4 farmers together. So you can, how do you go forward and ensure that it becomes profitable for people to get into that farming?
See Glenn, more individuals having more than 5 hectares are very, very rare. 1 hectare is 10,000 square meters, 2.5 acres.
Yes.
So we can standardize protocol of cultivation. Where so now seedlings are being raised and supplied to you. So you plant those seedlings at a proper spacing where you can use machinery. See, this machinery is of different type. There are machinery which is 1 foot in breadth. There is 60 centimeters, 2 feet width. You can have other which you can extend up till 90 centimeters.
So mechanization.
So mechanization, at least to control weeds and earthing up. So earthing up, one cultivator had come up with an innovation wherein he was attaching a ridger to his small tractor, mini tiller, and taking it, so that the earthing up, instead of doing by spade, was being done by the ridger, and very fast and cheaper. So this type of things have all got to be dovetailed into the cultivation process.
Okay, now the second point, what I want to know now, for example, lot of our Goan land is not straight, flat. It's not like Punjab where it is flat. It's up and down.
Yes.
So can mechanization be used even in slightly hillier areas and all that? Is it possible?
Yes, because there are types of machines. You don't want a power tiller. A power tiller says between 10, 11, 13 or 12, 13 horsepower. You have got the smaller tillers which are of 6.5 and 4.5, like that. There are so many brands across it. You can use those.
Okay.
So that, options are available.
Terrain is not an issue.
Yeah, these are lighter, so you can lift and take them on these terraced fields.
Okay. But basically, what you're saying is, okay, now I want this I want, like what, for example, now our Goa budget also is coming. What would one need in agriculture for Goa to progress, for us to be self-sufficient in agriculture? What would you need? What would Goa need? What the government would need to do? What the people, the incentives would they need for people to start getting into this?
See, what you rightly said at the beginning, that the coronavirus pandemic, it was a wake-up call to farmers.
Correct.
Because they realized that they have to be self-reliant.
Everybody.
Yeah. So what is required now is proper pricing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that the farmers get remunerative returns. See, when I was in the Horticulture Corporation and initially in the directorate, later on after a return, we made a mistake in fixing the pricing mechanism. It was tied to the Belgaum rates of the previous year and some additional factor.
Okay.
The farmers came up with this suggestion that the pricing should be based on the cost of production. Now, cost of production, when you take it, should not be only the cost of production as they see it, but after taking factor in the fact that you can reduce, you can use methods of reducing that cost of production. So that cost of production and about 50% returns Because it is not an easy task. No, see, everywhere people make a killing. Why not in agriculture?
Correct, absolutely.
Though nobody allows you to make a killing, but at least you should make a decent profit.
Correct.
So the pricing should be fixed that way. And this was told by the Kankona farmers, because they said, sir, see, we cannot do early, we are dependent on nature. Our wells dry up in the month of April itself. So we cannot do, say, because I was telling them, why don't you do in May, June, when the prices are higher in the market. So that is one thing. Pricing should be good. Second thing is farmer intelligence, price intelligence. See, farmers now need market support. So what are the prevailing prices in the market? Say ladyfinger. Ladyfinger only during Ganesh Chaturthi, around that time, it fetches 10 and or 12 rupees per ladyfinger. I am talking of the Sat Shrirancha bag. That in the other times doesn't fetch that much. Same thing in May, June, there is a shortage of vegetables. So there the price of those vegetables tends to be more, and they sell it by numbers. Leafy vegetables, in the rains, your coriander bunch, which used to be 5 rupees, 10 rupees, becomes 40 rupees.
Correct. Yes.
So, this type of information has to be given to the farmers, but everybody should not jump into doing the same thing.
Different.
See, regions have to be taken. Kankona, because labor is relatively more efficient and cheaper, they should go for some vegetables where labor is more, say like tidki midki. Some, that should be the main thing. Plus they can grow other things like chilies and all, no doubt. So, that sort of intelligence, knowledge is given, then the farmers would do. I'll share with you one very interesting thing. Once I'd gone to Khotigaon in Kankona, and there the farmer was growing watermelon. So he was very progressive farmer. He was getting his seed from outside. He was hardly taking much help from the department. But he was having a problem of marketing, because all his watermelons were coming together, and some party from Kerala was coming and giving him not even 5 rupees a kilo. So what I told him was, instead of growing those big watermelons, that time Horticulture Corporation had started a few months before that supplying watermelons. So you grow what is called that icebox variety, means about 2.5, 3 kilo sized watermelons, and stagger your planting.
That's
so
important.
Keep it at 15 days gap, so that you have a production
for so many
throughout
months.
A longer period, because for market you have to have a longer window of supply. So this type of smaller things, if told to our farmers properly, definitely
this is what the government should do.
The government is doing to a large extent. A lot of good work is being done. Added to that, there are farmer innovations. See, I went to a young person's house at Mai once. He had grown tomatoes on his terrace in 500 bags. So 500 tomato plants were there. He had sourced the bags through the net from Gujarat. So special white colored bags, so that they reflect the sunlight and all. And he got a production of 300 kilos of tomatoes on his terrace.
Wow. What about storage? Do these storage, you have these what do you say, these ice, like whatever, refrigerators.
Cold storage.
Cold storage. Does it work?
See, cold storages do work, but we should have sufficient surplus. I will digress a little bit here. Go out of vegetables, if you permit. See, I'll give you the example of our Osano. See, Osano, typically there is distress sale, because it gets ready in the month of April to some areas by May, say beginning of May. So farmers, for example, Verna farmers used to come to Mapsa to sell. Possibly by design, or mostly by design. Nobody used to, or very little was bought during the day, and they all used to wait in the evening when this farmer is desperate, then buy it at a much lower price, say 80 rupees, 90 rupees a kilo, when otherwise it was 120 you could have got. So what they did was, one of my colleagues, a very far-sighted man with vision, he tied up with Machado and Sons, who have got cold storage and warehousing experts in Verna Industrial Estate. Mr. Machado was a very, generous and committed Goan, I would say. He allowed some experiments to be done at what is the exact temperature, best temperature to store this thing. So these people started storing the Osano in this cold storage. He was charging a very nominal sum, And they started marketing that during the off season in November, December. Oh,
so that's
some
possible.
Festival. Yes,
but not
at
all
180 a kilo and 150 a
not
kilo.
Not all vegetables.
Not all vegetables. See, they can be stored for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
So in case there is more production, you can store vegetables in cold storages.
Okay. Okay.
And there are cold storages with spare capacity.
Okay.
It is a question of now utilizing them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nelson, it's been a pleasure. We have like run out of time. It's been a pleasure having you with us, and hopefully some of these suggestions can be integrated, can be incorporated, and we could possibly, if something happens, we can live off our own vegetables and fruits. And thank you very much.
Yeah. It has been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And keep watching Goa 365.